Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Today we need to dive into a very disappointing result that took place yesterday, where Celtic suffered a 10 defeat against St. Johnstone. It's not just the result that has left fans feeling deflated, but the way in which it has sparked an intense debate online about the team's current form and their approach as the season winds down. Celtic had the chance to secure another league title with the treble still very much within reach. But now questions are being raised about whether the team is coasting towards the finish line and if that could jeopardize their chances of completing the treble. It's been a tough few weeks for Celtic fans to say the least. We are sitting comfortably at the top of the league, still 13 points clear, but the performances have started to drop. The loss to St. Johnstone, who are currently bottom of the table, has certainly shaken the faith of many supporters. For some, it's been seen as a clear sign that the players have lost that edge, that fight, and are perhaps thinking the job is done, with the title nearly wrapped up. Others, including Celtic's manager Brendan Rodgers, believe it's not as surprising as it seems, considering how things have been playing out recently. Rodgers himself was quick to express his frustration after the match, making it clear that the team's approach needs to change. His post-match comments showed a manager who is far from satisfied with the current situation. While Celtic still have a commanding lead in the league, there's no denying that the standard of play has dipped. The question is, why is this happening? Could it be that the players feel too comfortable, too relaxed with the league title effectively secured? There's a feeling that the intensity has waned and the performances have reflected that. Even though Celtic still find themselves 13 points clear of the nearest competitors, the loss means the league title can't be wrapped up at Celtic Park just yet. The chance to secure it next weekend against Rangers following their unexpected loss to Hibs has now passed. That would have been the perfect opportunity for Celtic to celebrate a potential title win in front of their home fans. But the loss to St. Johnstone has complicated things. So now we have to wait a little longer for that mathematical confirmation of our status as champions. And let's be honest, it's been far too long since we last secured the league title at Celtic Park. There are several aspects of the performance against St. Johnstone that need addressing. One of the main talking points has been the tactics employed by Rodgers. The team looks slow, predictable, and devoid of that creative spark we've seen in previous weeks. It was a style of play that didn't seem fit for a team fighting for multiple trophies. Yes, we had chances, but we should have had more. The problem wasn't a lack of opportunity, it was a lack of urgency and a failure to take control of the game. It felt like the team wasn't pushing forward with the same hunger we've come to expect from Celtic, especially against teams at the bottom of the league. It's easy to point the finger at the players, but we can't ignore the role of the manager here. Rodgers himself acknowledged the tactical shortcomings in the team's performance. He didn't hold back in his analysis, and that's exactly what we need right now. If the players are not performing to their best, then the manager has to take responsibility for ensuring they are motivated and prepared. It's clear that Rodgers sees the need for a change, and he's not afraid to call out what isn't working. It's also worth noting that some players seem to have dropped their intensity since the team's exit from the Champions League. The pressure that came with European competition is now lifted, and it seems some players may have taken that as an early holiday. The reality is we're still fighting for a treble, and we need the players to remember that. There's still so much to play for, and coasting through these final games could cost us. Brendan Rodgers himself didn't mince words when talking about the team's mentality in the aftermath of the game. He said there's definitely some anger, and he's trying to control it. His frustration was evident as he spoke about the poor start to the game, which has become a recurring issue. It's something they need to fix, and it's a mentality problem. Rodgers even mentioned that there are players in the squad who might be too comfortable with their position at the top. This comfort is leading to timidity on the field, a lack of fight, and an overall drop in performance. He warned that if players are looking for an easy ride, they will never be top players. The best players, he said, are always on it from the first minute, no matter who the opponent is. And that's the attitude Celtic need to adopt going forward. What's clear is that Celtic can't afford to approach these games with a sense of entitlement, expecting easy victories just because they're playing teams at the bottom of the table. Rodgers acknowledged that some players may be going into games thinking they can just coast to victory. This is unacceptable, and it's something he's clearly not going to tolerate moving forward. As much as he is critical of his players, he also took responsibility as the manager. The leadership, the motivation, and the drive must come from him. If his players are not giving their all, he has to find a way to get them fired up and back to their best. The performance against St. Johnstone wasn't just disappointing. It was a wake-up call. The players must understand that they can't afford to take their foot off the gas, not when they're in the hunt for multiple trophies. The expectations at Celtic are always high, and this is a club that demands success. Yes, we're 13 points clear, and yes, we're still on course for a treble, but that doesn't mean we can afford to relax. The team must remember what's at stake and find that hunger again. Despite everything, Rodgers remains optimistic. He believes the team will pick themselves up and improve as the season draws to a close. It's not a time for panic, but it's certainly a time for reflection. The mistakes made in recent weeks need to be addressed, but the quality is still there. This is still a team that has the potential to achieve great things, but they need to snap out of their complacency. Rodgers is confident they can turn things around and finish the season strongly. But there's no getting away from the fact that the recent performances have raised serious concerns. If Celtic want to continue their dominance in Scottish football and make a statement in Europe next season, they need to address these issues now. There's no room for complacency, especially when there's so much on the line. The squad is talented, but talent alone won't win titles. It's time for Celtic to refocus and show that they can perform at their best, not just when it suits them, but week in and week out, no matter the opposition. As for the immediate future, Celtic still have plenty to play for, but they need to fix what's broken. The manager's words are clear. They need to stop looking for easy games and start showing the same level of intensity they had earlier in the season. The next few weeks will be crucial, and if they can find that spark again, there's no reason why Celtic can't end the season with the treble they set out to achieve. The message from Rodgers is clear. The team needs to wake up and deliver. If they don't, the consequences will be far worse than just a couple of disappointing results. There's a treble to fight for, and Celtic cannot afford to squander this opportunity. The time for complacency is over. It's time to step up for both the players and the manager and finish the season on a high. As we move on from the frustration of the St. Johnstone result, it's important to acknowledge the broader context of this season. Despite recent setbacks, Celtic are still in a very strong position, and there's no denying that this team has achieved a lot in the current campaign. The reaction to the defeat online has been a mixed bag, with some fans rightly frustrated by the lackluster performances, while others have taken it to extremes calling for changes that simply aren't necessary at this point in time. The reality of following a football club is that not every game will go your way. Sometimes you lose. It's part of the sport, and while it's never easy to accept, it's important to maintain perspective. The negativity that followed the loss to St. Johnstone has been overwhelming at times, and it's essential to remind ourselves of the bigger picture. This is still a Celtic team that has dominated the Scottish Premiership, is still in the Scottish Cup semi-final, and has made significant strides in Europe. It's easy to get caught up in the frustration of a single bad result, but we have to remember that one loss doesn't define the entire season. Brendan Rodgers is absolutely right to address the issues within the team, but we also need to keep in mind the successes we've had up until this point. For some Celtic fans, there seems to be an expectation that the team should win every single game, and when that doesn't happen, the criticism becomes harsh and disproportionate. This sense of entitlement isn't helpful, and it's something that we've seen before in the Celtic fan base. While it's perfectly fine to be disappointed with performances and to call out underperforming players, there's a fine line between constructive criticism and outright hostility. One of the more alarming reactions to the recent defeat was the suggestion that Brendan Rodgers should be sacked. This kind of knee-jerk response, especially considering where we are in the league and the position we're in to potentially win a treble, is not only premature, but entirely unfair. Rodgers has done a fantastic job since returning to Celtic, and it's clear that the team is still in a strong position to achieve everything they set out to this season. Yes, there have been some disappointing performances, but to suggest that he should be dismissed based on one loss is both irrational and disrespectful to the hard work he's put into building this squad. Let's not forget that just over a month ago, Celtic fans were united in their support of Rodgers. After the disappointing Champions League exit, the focus shifted to the domestic campaign, and everyone was behind the manager as he worked to make Celtic a competitive force in Europe. There was no talk of sacking him, no talk of making changes to the squad. Everyone was fully supportive of Rodgers and the work he was doing. It's amazing how quickly things can change after one poor result, but we have to remember that this is football and it's a long season. Success isn't guaranteed, but the key to success is consistency and the ability to bounce back from adversity. The truth is we are incredibly lucky to be following a team as successful as Celtic right now. Some fans seem to forget just how difficult it is to win the treble, and the expectation that it should be a given every season is a dangerous mindset. Before Rodgers arrived at the club, Celtic had only won the treble 3 times in their entire history. Now under Rodgers, they are on the verge of achieving this feat for the 2nd time in as many years. That in itself is a remarkable achievement, and it should be celebrated, not taken for granted. But what's troubling is the lack of perspective some fans have shown in the aftermath of the St. Johnstone defeat. The online reaction has been over the top in some cases, with a few individuals calling for drastic changes that are simply unwarranted. Yes, the team's performances haven't been up to the standard we expect, but that doesn't mean we should start tearing the team apart and making drastic decisions. Football is a game of highs and lows, and right now Celtic are going through a low point. It's not the end of the world, and it's certainly not the time to start making rash decisions about the future of the club. One of the most frustrating things about following football is the way some fans react to defeat. The sense of entitlement that has crept into some quarters of the Celtic fan base is worrying. Yes, we want to win every game, and yes, we expect a certain level of performance from the players. But football is unpredictable, and sometimes things don't go the way we want them to. That's the nature of the sport. And while it's important to hold the team and manager accountable when things go wrong, it's equally important to support them when they face challenges. Brendan Rodgers has always been clear about his expectations for the team. He demands high standards, and when those standards are not met, he's quick to address the issues. But he's also been consistent in his belief that the team can improve and that they have the quality to bounce back. We've seen this before, and we'll see it again. Rodgers is a proven winner, and his track record at Celtic speaks for itself. The team may be going through a rough patch right now, but they are more than capable of turning it around. There's no need to overreact. Yes, there are things that need to improve, but that's true of every team at every point in a season. No team is perfect, and even the best teams have their off days. The key is how they respond to those off days. And Celtic have shown time and time again that they can bounce back from setbacks. There's no reason to believe that this team with the talent they have won't do the same again. Looking ahead, Celtic still have a lot to play for. The Scottish Cup semi-final is just around the corner, and the league title is still within their grasp. The pressure is on, but this is where the best teams thrive. The key for Celtic is to find that intensity again, to play with the urgency and hunger they had earlier in the season, and to finish the campaign strong. The next few weeks will be crucial for Celtic. They need to address the issues that have been highlighted in recent performances, but they also need to keep a level head. The loss to St. Johnstone was disappointing, but it doesn't define the season. There's still plenty of football to be played, and there's no reason why Celtic can't finish the season with the treble they've worked so hard for. Brendan Rodgers has the experience and the leadership to guide this team through this difficult period. He's shown time and time again that he knows how to get the best out of his players, and there's no reason to believe that won't happen again. The next few weeks will be a test, but is one that Celtic can pass. So while the frustration is understandable, we need to remember that this is a long-term project. Celtic have already achieved a lot this season, and with a bit more consistency, they can finish strong. The treble is still within reach, and Celtic fans need to stay behind the team and support them as they push for the finish line. It's been a remarkable season so far, and there's still more to come. Let's not forget that. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In a stunning move that's set to shake up the Scottish Premiership, Turkish wonderkid Arda Guler is joining Celtic on a season-long loan from Real Madrid. Still only 20, Guler has dazzled fans in limited appearances for the Spanish Giants, scoring 6 goals in just 330 minutes in La Liga, an astonishing feat that made him the fastest to reach that mark in the club's history. Now, Celtic Park is about to witness firsthand the magic that captivated the Santiago Bernabeu. The move comes as part of Real Madrid's strategic development plan for Guller, ensuring consistent first-team action for one of football's most exciting young prospects. With his breathtaking dribbling, sharp shooting, and vision in the final third, the Turkish international is expected to inject creativity and flair into Brendan Rodgers' attacking setup. For Celtic, it's not just a loan, it's a statement. Arda's journey from the youth ranks of Gençler Birliği to Fenerbahçe and eventually to Real Madrid has been nothing short of meteoric. He broke records in Turkey, wore the iconic number 10 at Fenerbahçe, and left fans speechless with his composure and skill beyond his years. His Real Madrid story began with injury setbacks, but once fit, he lit up La Liga with clinical finishes and moments of brilliance off the bench. Celtic's acquisition of Guller marks one of the most exciting loan signings in Scottish football in recent memory. Not only will the Hoops benefit from his talent, but fans across the league are likely to tune in just to catch a glimpse of this Turkish gem. For Guller, this is a chance to mature, thrive under pressure, and return to Madrid sharper and stronger as anticipation builds in Glasgow. All eyes will be on how the Turkish playmaker adapts to the intensity of the Scottish game. If his past performances are anything to go by, Celtic may have just landed a player who can redefine the season and leave a legacy far beyond it. Hello, fam! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.